CBC News, winner of 14 Gemini Awards.
Hi, I'm Dennis Trudeau. Welcome to Absolutely Canadian, the show that explores issues in communities right across this country. Today, we're at the University of Quebec in Montreal, and we'll show you more of this campus a little later. First, though, to our stories, and we start on the East Coast. On Prince Edward Island, coyotes are in abundance, so much so that sheep farmers want something done about it. Laura Meter explains.
Records at the Provincial Wildlife Department show coyotes killed 22 animals last year and 10 so far this year. Farmer Carol McLeod has lost 7 sheep to coyotes.
Most people focus on the number of animals that are killed, and that's only a minor part of the whole story.
She says losing animals is difficult, but worries more about the stress on her sheep. The animals are restless and uneasy when coyotes are nearby.
They could worry the lambs, and that would decrease their food consumption and decrease rate of gains, which is an economic concern.
The coyote trapping season goes from November 15th to January 15th. McLeod would like to see trappers get another 6 weeks.
I want to be able to have trappers in here a little bit more often in areas that we know are problem areas on Prince Edward Island.
You're not going to effectively reduce the population to begin with.
Wildlife biologist Randy Dibley says more trapping wouldn't help and points out hunters with guns do have a 6-month season. The province also allows nuisance animals to be killed out of season.
Our coyote population on PEI right now is relatively stable. We feel that they've extended their range to all parts of the island, and the population itself isn't expanding or increasing at this stage of the game.
I really feel there are a lot of coyotes, and I feel that the population is likely increasing because we have...
McLeod doesn't like the fact coyotes are only labeled a nuisance after they kill. She checks the electric fence around her herd regularly to make sure they are protected. Biologist Randy Dibley says prevention is the best defense and says there are no plans to extend the trapping season. The PEI Trappers Association understands farmers' frustrations, but worries if the season was extended, other animals might get hurt. The trappers expect to get a better idea of how many coyotes are out there once trapping season begins in a couple of weeks. Laura Meter, CBC News, Charlottetown.
We'll have more stories from different parts of Canada in a moment. But first, let us show you a little bit of the University of Quebec in Montreal. This university opened its doors in 1969 to serve Francophone students. The most noteworthy landmark on the campus is this bell tower and transept of the former Church of Saint-Jacques. The university decided to integrate the church's structure into the Pavillon Judith Jasmin, a symbol of change from the religious to the secular. Back to our stories now, and to what people in the Shaughnessy Village part of downtown Montreal are talking about. Drug dealers and prostitutes have moved into the area, and Andrew Nichols reports the neighbors aren't happy.
This is Tupper Street, home to gorgeous greystones and a growing drug problem.
Out of normal for that place here, for that neighborhood.
And everyone is still trying to figure out why.
The different associations have addressed a problem that's been a hotbed for a long period of time, but it seems to have escalated in the last few months.
This building, for instance, may be beautiful on the outside, but not always on the inside.
Some guy came and sort of defecated, excuse the expression, in the entrance of our building, and they were coming in there and smoking drugs all the time.
From entranceways to alleyways.
There was a lane there that we everybody used to take, and now nobody takes it because it's it's not safe at all.
This is the lane, and this is what we found easily. This police officer isn't surprised.
That's the kind of bags they use sometimes.
For what?
Put cocaine, ecstasy.
Nearby, a used condom. Recently, police beefed up foot and car patrols in the area.
We found that there's a lot of junk around here. We arrest a lot. We made 5 arrestations.
5 arrests in just 2 weeks. police presence is matched by political prodding to solve a basic problem. At night, the neighborhood is too dark.
I've asked the borough manager, Jean-Marie, to look at the voltage, and if the voltage is moderate, to bring it up to the max. So it's a no-brainer.
Our neighborhood is the alleyway.
The pastor of this neighborhood church agrees the area needs more light. His congregation helps clean up the alleyways, but he also preaches tolerance of the drug users and prostitutes.
When you get to know them, you don't fear them the same.
Whether it's through prayer, policing, or political pressure, the goal is clear: to make these streets safe once again. Andrew Nichols, CBC News, Montreal.
In Ottawa, if you live downtown, just a couple of days before you have to make a major decision, because parking on the street is about to get much more expensive. Paul Morissette explains.
It's a challenge finding a parking spot anywhere downtown these days. But residents who live here can buy a permit from the city that allows them to park on the street day or night. The monthly fee is $20 in the summer and $45 during the winter months. That's about to change.
It's doubling of the current price of a pass during the winter, more than doubling, in fact, which seems like a pretty dramatic increase.
Beginning December 1st, winter parking permits will cost $100 a month. Clements, who lives in Centertown and has bused to work, is changing his commuting plans.
Now, however, purchasing a street parking permit plus the cost of a bus pass is costing me 3 times as much as taking my car and driving to work. It's a disincentive, frankly, against ecological responsibility.
It's actually a very permissive permit that allows residents to take advantage of privileges that aren't offered to other residents.
About 1,000 people buy the permits, but the fees haven't been covering the cost of snow removal.
I believe it is a good deal for them. One parking ticket overnight winter parking ban more than offsets the cost of the permit.
You're using city streets. You're occupying a space that is important for moving trucks and traffic, especially in winter months. It's a privilege to park on these streets, and we need to recover those costs.
We want to make it easier for people to live downtown, not harder. And $100 a month for on-street parking makes it harder.
The city's overnight parking ban goes into effect November 15th. Paul Morissette, CBC News, Ottawa.
Some kids in Saskatchewan are getting a cultural lesson, learning Aboriginal history from some people who've lived it. Kaveri Batira reports.
This is not your typical history class. The classroom is Sask Place in Saskatoon, and the teachers are from the First Nations community.
I think it's important for students to be exposed to all different cultures. And because this culture is from Saskatchewan, I think it's very important for us to be informed and know as much as we can.
With the help of the Federation of Saskatchewan Indian Nations, students are getting hands-on experience about First Nations culture. Some of the lessons include beading, pottery, and holistic medicine.
Put this in this little cup, these little barks. Yeah, and then you put in these little capsules.
Then you have to, they have to shave it off.
Then you eat it when you yeah.
Or have diarrhea.
They're good for fever. They're like painkillers.
Good. And you're learning to make medicine?
Some teachers here say learning about different cultures will soon become a bigger part of the school curriculum.
As more cultures or more kids integrate to our school systems, I think you're going to see a lot more multicultural education. It's going to become more prominent. Yeah. Plus, teachers will also become more aware of that.
And some of those who are doing the teaching, like Gary Gott, say they can tell there needs to be more education on First Nations history.
It's surprising because a lot of people have asked me, do I wear my moccasins every day? Do I live in a teepee? And
it may be a surprise for some of these students now, but teachers hope sessions like these will help them understand the many cultures they might come across in the future. Kaveri Batira, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Alberta has put the brakes to plans to reform auto insurance. The whole plan was beginning to look just too radical. Kim Trinacity reports.
With a major snowstorm looming, it's prime time for fender benders. But don't expect changes to insurance premiums or payouts for injuries anytime soon.
We're back at the drawing board again.
After a lengthy meeting, a government committee narrowly rejected a plan designed to reduce auto insurance premiums. What derailed it? A proposal to limit minor injury settlements to $4,000. This MLA, who has practiced injury law, was the most vocal critic of the cap.
The cap is highly contentious. My office has been inundated
with emails and phone calls and letters from all over the province encouraging me to continue to fight the cap.
I think it's crucial.
An accident victims group backed by injury lawyers aggressively lobbied MLAs and media to get it thrown out.
It's not fair. It's not fair to innocent injured victims to blame them for the increase in claims costs.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada has also been active, running a campaign to reduce the number of whiplash cases.
Look what happens when the headrest is properly positioned.
It says the government was attempting too much in too short a time.
It was going to create quite an upset throughout entire auto insurance with consumers and intermediaries and industry and so on. It was a revolutionary change.
The MLA who headed the insurance review says special interest groups got to MLAs.
MLAs have been inundated with calls and letters and emails of late from individuals and injury lawyers urging them not to support the proposal for limits on minor injuries.
We told you about a contest on Vancouver's east side. The project gave cameras to people who live there and asked them to shoot portraits of their neighborhood. Rosa Marcatelli reports the whole thing's bringing out the community spirit.
Through the lens of her camera, okay guys, Bronwyn Elko is hoping to capture that perfect picture in a less than perfect neighborhood.
I saw a beautiful child this morning. He was quite young. Actually, the guy was quite young, and his little daughter, they're out here living on the street, and she was just a doll. And I got their picture. Bronwyn Elko? Yeah.
She's one of 100 people who were given disposable black and white cameras as part of a contest that was organized by a legal advocacy group. The task is to document one of the toughest neighborhoods in the country by the people who live there.
Down here on the Lower East Side, there's so much creative talent that people never ever see. Like, there's poets, artists, everything down here, but we're looked at just as addicts. We're all just, crackheads or junkies.
They were given 4 days to finish the role and these directions.
What we're looking for is photos in these categories: kindness and generosity, joy and laughter, friendship and love, struggle and hardship, just to keep it real.
In the end, 91 of the cameras were returned, more than 2,000 pictures taken.
Here, this one here is really, I find this a very interesting photo.
The best pictures will get a cash prize and public showing. Professional photographers are among the judges.
And we've got some fantastic portraits here, I would say. It looks like it's just a slice of life.
With the father and the daughter, you know, I find it very warm, and I think the photographer has really caught the right image at the right time. You know, just very tender.
She loves her dad so much, and he loves her, and that came through, you know. So it's still here, the love's still here, even though it's harder to see it, right?
The winning pictures go on display mid-November. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Vancouver.
Some great photos there. Don't go away, because when we return, we'll meet a healing heart, a cancer specialist who brings more than his expertise to his patients.
View of sports you won't get from the stands. Investigative, award-winning, up close and personal. Sports Journal with Tom Harrington. Tonight at 8 Eastern on CBC Newsworld.
Canada has an international flavor. So do we. International Canadian thin crust pizza from McCain. Taste being there.
This year, get all your Christmas music on one definitive collection, Christmas Memories.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
40 timeless holiday classics on 2 CDs performed by music legends such as Perry Como.
I'll be home for Christmas.
Bing Crosby.
You better watch
Nat King Cole and many more. Christmas memories. Available at Future Shop. Future Shop. Come see what your future has in store.
What if it had DVD navigation and laser-guided cruise control? What if it had a rear-view monitor to see what lies behind? And one of the most advanced all-wheel drive systems in the world to propel you ahead? What if has become what is? The FX from Infinity.
If you want to get online, why wait in line? With a laptop powered by Centrino, Intel's mobile technology, you can get a high-speed connection wirelessly from thousands of places. Even that seat, the one far away from the phone jack. Intel Centrino mobile technology.
Oh, it's gonna be great. You're invited to a streaking party, and it's gonna be the highlight of the year. Introducing Herbal Essences Highlight, with our unique highlighting comb and color guide formula for gorgeous streaks of evenly spaced highlights. So now you can get what you want, where you want it.
Hi! Is this the streaking party?
New Herbal Essences Highlight. You could win one of 10 streaking parties for you and 5 friends at streakingparty.com.
So, how much software do you want to buy?
Mr. Mooney's not here!
So, how much software do you want to buy?
Are you tired of pushy software salesmen?
So!
Buy software on your terms with Flex Select Licensing from Computer Associates.
It's your right to know what's really going on in the world. CBC Newsworld. Trusted, connected, Canadian.
Welcome back to Absolutely Canadian, the program that's your window on the different parts of Canada. I'm Dennis Trudeau in Montreal today at the University of Quebec. Cancer patients will tell you that it's a tough disease. They have to go through radiation therapy and chemotherapy. But at the Winnipeg Cancer Centre, one specialist tries to make it easier on the patients. Joni Nicolo reports.
It's work you'd expect to see inside a machine shop. But the hardware here is more delicate than most. Just ask the man who builds it.
I'm just doing my job the way I'd like someone to do it for me if it was me.
Now we have a great fit, and that's what we're looking
Roy Norton works for Cancer Care Manitoba. He makes molds for people undergoing radiation therapy, critical for keeping treatment accurate and patients still.
We want to make sure that we're in the exact same spot each and every time they come in for their treatment. If the patient were to move around, we wouldn't get the correct dose in the proper area. So the cast ensures that we're getting the correct dose. So this protect your eyes?
There are several steps in the procedure. The problem area is covered with Vaseline and Saran. Plaster bandages are placed over top. They harden and form to the patient's body.
Put it on your chin.
The process can be awkward.
There we go.
Can you imagine? You've been told you have breast cancer. You have one breast removed. Some patients, their husbands haven't even seen them. And yet a strange man is going to make a mold of you.
And they ask me if I'm going to come back and see you after this is all over. You bet.
That's where Roy's bedside manner comes in. 3 months ago, Marge Riel was one of Roy's many patients. She's surviving breast cancer.
Roy was such a day maker. A day maker is a person who tries to make the best for people, and to have a person like that come into your life who's upbeat, and I know that he cares about what he's doing, and he's excellent in what he's doing. His casts are perfect. I speak from experience. But he is a master at being a day maker. When he comes into the room, you just feel uplifted.
Today, Marge and Roy are friends for life.
If I can make a patient laugh, or get a smile from them before they leave after my procedure, then I've done my job. I have set the tone for what their treatment's going to be later on.
It's a far cry from his job as a sheet metal worker 23 years ago.
The skills I brought were that I could work with power tools, I could look at a device and see a finished product in my head, and I had some skills in ceramics and, you know, dexterity type skills.
Those are the physical tools. The emotional ones are at work both on and off the job. Every Christmas, Roy helps raise money for kids living with cancer. He puts on a craft corner at Chalmerdine Nurseries. This will be his 15th.
It just really warmed my heart when I thought a person like this, who's so busy, would go through the effort to make sure that he's helping.
To me, it's important to make it a pleasant and positive experience for them. So once I do that, and if I can achieve that, then I've done my job.
My cancer was a blessing to have found people who are so supportive, so caring, and so ready to help. There's angels everywhere.
That story from Joni Nicolo. And still to come on Absolutely Canadian, delivering health care. How midwives could ease the shortage of doctors in Nova Scotia.
It's your right to know what's really going on. CBC Newsworld. Trusted, connected, Canadian.
Borrowing money is a part of everyone's financial life. It can be an intelligent way to manage your money. So why do most banks make it so expensive to do something so sensible? For total flexibility, there are credit cards, but you have to pay punishing rates if you need to carry a balance. Need a high limit? There are lines of credit, but you may have to put up your home as collateral. If you're good with your money, shouldn't there be a simpler way? There is. Open an ING Direct credit account. It's a smart, new way to save money when you buy using credit. Here's how it works. You apply online or over the phone. It's simple and fast. Once approved, your ING Direct credit account is ready to use. Accessing the funds in your credit account is easy. You can do it online, over the phone, or for total flexibility, use this, your ING Direct Interact card. Need to make a purchase on the spot? Just use your ING Direct card, but pay a much lower rate than most credit cards. Watch. Most types of credit charge from 7% up to 29%, many with annual fees. With ING Direct, you'll always pay one of the lowest rates going. Need a high limit? Your good credit history is all the security we need. Want to set your own repayment schedule? Except for a low monthly minimum, you can repay as fast as you want or as slowly as you need to. And every time you repay what you've used, that credit is yours again, to use as you need.
I hate carrying a balance on my credit card, but if I have to, I use my credit account to pay it off. I save a fortune.
Save your money and borrow the smart way. Put the power and flexibility of an ING Direct credit account in your pocket. To apply now, just call or go online. We'll ask a few simple questions, you'll be treated with respect, and get an answer. Usually the same day.
We just bought a new computer with it. It was easy. Like using a credit card, only better. Because you don't have to worry about paying so much interest.
The ING Direct credit account. The convenience of a card, a low rate, and the credit you deserve. Call now or go online.
And save your money.
When you sleep, you dream.
Give us 14 nights of them and we'll give you noticeably whiter teeth. Introducing Crest Night Effects. It immediately forms a liquid strip coating on your teeth, whitening at night. You brush it off in the morning. No one knows what your dreams will reveal, but whiter teeth will be revealed in just 14 nights. New Crest Night Effects. Sleep your way to a whiter smile.
My name is Kim. I'm a new mom. Just before my baby's first birthday, my doctor will tell me I have leukemia. There'll be rounds and rounds of chemo.
What if someone you loved needed blood and it wasn't there?
If there's not enough blood, cancer won't be my only worry.
Roll up your sleeves and give. To book your appointment, call Canadian Blood Services at 1-888-2-DONATE. Blood, it's in you to give.
Hello, I'm Don Newman. Up next on Politics, Fiscal Update with Finance Minister John Manley. will get political reaction. Plus, our leadership panel on Mike Harris's decision not to run for the top job of the new Conservative Party. That's all on politics, right after the news.
Welcome back to Absolutely Canadian. I'm Dennis Trudeau in Montreal. Many parts of this country, especially rural areas, have a shortage of obstetricians. Now, in Nova Scotia, some are suggesting that licensing midwives would help ease the situation. Sophia Harris reports.
So, try that position and see how it feels.
Claudette McDonald is doing all she can to prepare for motherhood, including prenatal class.
What about switching? Say the child is over here.
But McDonald still doesn't know where she's having her baby. The Yarmouth Hospital lost 2 obstetricians recently and is down to 1, so it's having trouble covering weekend deliveries. McDonald is due in December on a Saturday, so she may have to travel 2 hours to the valley to give birth.
Sometimes the roads aren't always clear. There's ice patches. The thought of getting in an accident and being ready to deliver my child, I really don't want to deliver it on the side of the road.
Yarmouth resident Renee Muse is studying to become a midwife. With an obstetrician shortage in her own town, she feels she made the right career choice.
This is just one of the textbooks that I use.
But there's a problem with her plan. Midwifery is not recognized in Nova Scotia. Muse is getting her degree through a correspondence course at the Midwives College of Utah.
When I started, I hoped that someday that they would be legislated so that I would be able to work here. Regardless of whether it's legislated or not, I hope to work here.
And Muse can, but she'll be working in a profession with no regulations. There are only a few practicing midwives in Nova Scotia. They can only deliver babies at home and are not held up to any professional standards. In fact, anyone could claim to be a midwife in the province. Their customers also have to pay out of their own pockets, up to $2,000.
Hopefully there would be legislated eventually so that I could at least work with all women who want it, rather than those who can afford it.
Midwife advocates have been campaigning for legislation for years in Nova Scotia, in part as one solution for communities with healthcare shortages.
Now's the time. You know, it's a perfect solution, so why not go forward?
British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Quebec, and Ontario already regulate midwifery. They allow midwives to work in hospitals or birth centers, providing an option for women leery of home pregnancies. And, except for Alberta, these provinces also cover the cost. The Northwest Territories will adopt midwifery legislation next year.
£11.
Nova Scotia is interested in the profession. The Liberal government commissioned 2 reports and began drafting midwifery legislation in 1999. But the Conservatives took power soon after and halted the process.
We have a nice introduction.
Fran Wortman worked on one of those reports. She has a graduate degree in midwifery from the U.S., but works as a nurse. She wants legislation to protect both her and potential patients before taking up the profession.
I would love to have the opportunity to practice as a midwife. If we had legislation and regulation, I think, yes, we would see more midwives, especially in the rural communities where women have said that they lack maternity and obstetrical care.
The Conservative government says it's aiming for midwifery legislation, but wants to follow its own path. It commissioned a report on primary health care, which recommends making midwifery part of the healthcare system.
We were interested in the broader concept of primary health care and saw the need to include a whole host of issues, including midwifery.
They need to make these decisions, and until they do, we're stuck. We're waiting.
And Wortman worries it may continue to be a long wait.
Now we have yet one more report that says, yes, we should have midwifery in Nova Scotia. So I have some hope, but probably I don't have as much hope now as I did in '99 when I really thought we were moving forward.
The province has no timeline for midwifery legislation because it's part of a much bigger project on primary health care, which means regulation isn't happening anytime soon. And communities facing an obstetrician shortage will have to search for other immediate solutions. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Yarmouth.
That's Absolutely Canadian for now. I'm Dennis Trudeau at the University of Quebec in Montreal. Join me tomorrow for more looks at the different parts of Canada. And stay with Newsworld. The news is next.